Well, hey there, my Diet Disruptor members. I am really excited to bring you our guest coach this month. Jennifer and I have been talking for months and months, and now it's finally here. You guys, this is Jennifer Marks. She is a gluten-free health coach. Yay! Hi, Jen.
Hey, Carrie. Thanks for having me in your group today. Hi, everybody.
I am so excited. And one of the things that I learned about Jen is that she used to live in Connecticut. And so we have that
Yep.
connection. So I'm
Yep.
really excited. But Jennifer and I connected because you guys know, like we talk about simple, sustainable, satisfying solution to understanding how we figure out what foods serve our bodies, which what don't, and how to make sure that we don't feel deprived, but we understand food and what it's doing for us. Jennifer is focused and really, really smart about gluten. And there's a lot of reasons why, but she's going to share some of those. She's going to share a little bit about herself and then give you guys some practical tips on really how to live a gluten-free lifestyle. Because I'm going to be really honest with you guys, even if you're integrating gluten into your life, it's not serving you. And so if you can find ways to make no-brainer swaps and not have the gluten, why not do that? Right, Jennifer?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Totally aligns with everything you teach. So it's perfect.
yeah. All right. So tell us a little bit about why this matters to you and then why it should matter to everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me today. So my name is Jennifer Marks, and I am a gluten-free health coach because I have been gluten-free for 11 years now. I had all kinds of things going on, exhausted, being told, oh, you're exhausted. Oh, maybe you have cancer. Maybe you just had a heart attack. Maybe you're just exhausted. You're stressed out. Like, no, it's none of those things. I know I'm healthy. No, it's none of that. And then they make you think, oh, it's in your mind, that you keep coming to the doctor because you don't feel good. I'm like, no, I eat and I don't feel good. And the doctors are like, it has nothing to do with food. Well, Carrie, you and I
Many
know,
doctors. Oh my gosh.
you and I know that statement is not true.
Yeah.
So, I took matters in my own hands and tried to figure things out, and finally found a doctor that said, yeah, you have some food allergies, you cannot have gluten. And I was like, what's gluten? you know,
Oh, really?
I didn't know. 11 years ago, it was not in society. People didn't talk about it. It was not well known. And most of the doctors I saw at the time had no idea about celiac disease. They were
Mm.
just learning about it.
I think people
So
even now, if they say I try to go gluten free, they don't really know what gluten is. They just it's so trendy, but people don't
people,
really
yeah,
understand it. So that's why I'm
people,
so happy to
yeah.
have you here.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is people think it is a trend. Like I'm going on a gluten-free diet. They think it's because they're going to be healthier.
Ooh,
And
wait.
that is not how it works, my friends. It is not always healthier if you're going to go to the store and go to the gluten-free processed food aisle. They think, well,
Yes.
it's gluten-free, it's healthier, but it's still damaging your body. So it's not, we'll get into that. But
Yeah.
so as I kind of found out that I needed to be gluten free, and when I was doing all this reading and studying, like you're getting your master's, right?
Yep.
And realized that all the things that were going on with my first two children, who were in first and third grade at the time, I'm like, wow, that's my daughter. Oh, that's my son. Oh, that's
Wow.
my daughter. That's my son. And I went to the pediatrician. She agreed that we could test them for celiac disease. They both had celiac disease.
Wow.
Never would have put. So my daughter was in third grade, exhausted, bloated belly, always wanted me at night. The doctor said she's stressed. I'm like, she's in third grade. She's not stressed. Um, she also had vitiligo going down her leg where you lose the pigment in your skin. And all that went away when she went gluten free.
Oh my gosh.
My son, first grade, tiny little kid, but I was always a really small kid, so I never thought about it. 2 years behind in dental, which is typical textbook celiac. And he just a slow kid and totally gone. He grew 4 inches in the first year
Oh my
that
God.
he was gluten free.
It
And
is.
I would
Oh.
probably today still not know that they were celiac
Yeah. Yeah.
because none of their issues were ever put together until I started doing all the research. So, we brought it to the doctor. She's like, wow. And then 8 years later, I had another little guy and he's gluten free. We actually had to reverse and make him eat gluten for a while. And that was a nightmare. So the doctor's like, yeah, no, he's going to be gluten-free. So,
Wow. Okay,
so
so
we've had a long journey. So that's my big why. Yeah.
yeah, let's talk about what is it about gluten that causes these issues for so many people. And let's be clear, you don't have to be celiac to experience negative impact from gluten, which
Yeah.
I would love for people to comment as they're watching this if you realized after doing the 4 weeks to wellness that gluten didn't serve your body.
Yeah.
What kind of reactions you got. But let's
Yeah.
talk about that because not everybody's celiac, but really we could make an argument that nobody should be having the gluten.
And
Especially these
and
days.
and yeah, and if you've ever heard of Dr. Tom O'Brien, he's a functional medicine doctor. He makes that statement.
Yeah.
He says gluten serves no one.
Yeah.
Gluten is wheat, rye, and barley, and wheat is not the wheat that our ancestors ate. Okay, it is now genetically modified. It is now covered in glyphosate and pesticides, and all of that really disrupts our gut. Like our guts are not made to digest that, right?
Right.
So, yes, you can have all these issues. And then I have clients that say, oh, well, I don't have celiac disease. I can eat gluten. I'm good. But they eat gluten and they're just sick all the time. I'm like, no, you are gluten intolerant. So you're not celiac, but you can still be gluten intolerant because your body still is not wanting to digest that, right?
Yeah, we say
So
that about milk too. Like our body lost the ability to digest milk at 2 years old. But yet it
absolutely.
is a just actually it's a political and like, corporate kind of a thing when we talk about how milk does a body good and all of that. It's such a lie. But corporate
No.
industries will always trump kind of truth in a lot of
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
So, okay, so
And
we know that we really shouldn't be digging into gluten just because we think we're not gluten intolerant. It
yeah.
won't
Yeah.
serve us over the long term. And I always talk about consistency over time. And if we
Yeah.
are consistently having something that doesn't serve our body, we might not really know it right away because maybe we're not celiac. But
Right.
eventually, over
Right.
time, those toxins build up, but also our gut health will show up at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what happens is you get on that roller coaster, right? That
Oh,
keeps going and the gluten's bothering it. But because the gluten's bothered your intestines so much, now other foods are starting to bother your intestines. And then you end up with leaky gut and have all these
oh,
issues. So
yeah.
it's sad. I mean, I often do just a cleanse with mostly with friends and just other busy moms around me. And they always say, wow, it's no gluten, no dairy, no sugar. And they're like, oh, I felt so much better without that. But but I'm not celiac. I'm going to go back and eating my, like,
Isn't it amazing?
but
This
you
is why I
felt
needed
better.
you on.
You
Like,
felt better.
yes, and as people are coming off of our 4 weeks to wellness and they're integrating food, there's this balance between my message to them of I don't want you to feel deprived because the minute you feel deprived, you're going to feel like you're on a diet and you're never going to do this long term. But at the same time, if you don't understand why this food doesn't serve you and what it's doing to you, and you just act like, well, Carrie said we shouldn't feel deprived, so I should be able to have it.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
you have to decide what you want and
Yeah.
how badly you want it, and understand that the integration and the lifestyle still requires a discipline of declining and
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
requires us to understand like we don't go hog wild. It's not like we're on or off. So
Yeah. No, no,
you
no.
live this lifestyle all the time. I would
Yeah.
say I live this lifestyle about 90% of the time. Um, and actually the 10% does really impact me. And my husband and I were just having a conversation today.
Yeah.
And so I know I need to go 100%.
Yeah.
I know I do. And I
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm working towards that. But let's talk about the lifestyle. How do you do it where you're okay being at a restaurant and not having the bread that they serve there? Because again, there's this balance of as soon as you feel deprived, it's like
Yeah.
it becomes
That's the thing.
psychological craving and a lot of different things. So talk to us about
That
what you got to do.
That is the thing. That is the thing. And so for people with celiac who, you eat a crumb and then you're in the bathroom for a week, or some people are throwing up or have awful rashes all over your body, or you're just so bloated and gassy, like that's why you're not going to eat that.
That's easy.
You
Those
know,
are the easy people.
so those are a little easier to push people to.
Yeah.
You're not deprived. This is going to bring you back your health. You've got to switch that I'm so deprived. I can't eat pizza. I want pizza. I'm turning into that 2-year-old toddler mentality is I want what they have. Why can't I have that?
Yes.
And you have to switch it. Because I've met people that have been gluten-free celiac for 4 years. Like, this is terrible. I hate this. I'm like, as long as you hate it, as long as you think it's terrible, it's going to be
Yeah.
terrible.
As long as
You
you've
have to
decided.
find. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, so we decided that, and as a mom, I didn't want my kids to be left out. I didn't want them to go to a birthday party and be, oh, I can't have the cake. I can't have their treats. So I make a gluten-free birthday cake or a cupcakes, and that's what they bring with them. And they enjoy it because they're really yummy. We are not deprived at our house at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are not deprived. You take your favorite things. So you have your spaghetti and meatballs, say maybe that's your favorite meal, right? And you want that. You make it gluten-free, my friends.
Yeah.
You
We
know,
do a lot of recipes. We never, like, I really, in all of our recipes, we never do regular pasta. There's no need. There's so much option out there. And I think
so
that's
many.
a major mindset shift. Instead of saying I can't, it's like I get to live in a time where there are so many options
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
I don't have
Yeah.
to feel deprived,
Yeah.
but yet can serve my body. So,
Absolutely.
like, we suggest, I love the chickpea pasta, for example.
Yeah. So do we.
We
Hmm.
love that. And it doesn't
Hmm.
taste any different to me. But like so one of the things I love about you, Jennifer, and I'm going to give you the information to follow her and get in her group and all of that because she does a lot of gluten-free baking,
Oh, yeah.
right? So that's
Yeah.
got to be one way that you're living this lifestyle. What are some substitutes that you're doing? And again, labels are so important. Just because it says gluten-free does not mean it's healthy or going to serve your
No,
body. So what are we
no,
looking for?
no. No. So probably honestly, it's probably a lot of what you're teaching your group here already, because you can go to the store and say, all right, I want to swap out, whether it's pasta or bread or even a waffle. You say, okay, here's a gluten-free waffle. It must be healthier. And you go on your way. Well, look at that label list. If it's
Right.
yay long and has 500 things in it that you can't read, that you don't know what it is, no, that's still not going to serve you, because all those extra preservatives and additives and everything else that's in there is going to disrupt your
Yeah.
gut just
Yeah.
as much as gluten has.
Yep.
So going gluten free, you really want to be, closer to whole foods, closer to small ingredient lists that have healthier options on that list. And and it doesn't mean that you're not going to have a chocolate cake. We have an amazing chocolate cake that I'm actually teaching in cooking classes and things like that. But you're not deprived because you're going to find what works for you, right? But everybody's so different. It's like, okay, what you might want is not what she wants. And so telling people, okay, you want to buy this brand or that brand, you have to be careful with that, because
Yeah.
brands, we have so many options now for gluten-free
Yeah.
products. And now they're coming out with healthier products.
Yeah.
Okay.
People are getting
So
smarter
so
in that.
yeah, you just have to really look at the options that are there.
So
It's
when
like,
you're doing like a chocolate cake, for example, and instead of flour, instead of a regular, even whole wheat flour, but regular flour,
mhm.
what are some of those substitutes that you're using?
Oh yeah. So we use a lot of organic brown rice flour.
Okay.
Millet flour
Yep.
is really great. Oat flour
Okay.
is a good one to use. Tapioca flour. That'll give it like some like a big push. It makes it fluffier, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're making cupcakes and cookies, you're using like a blend so
Okay.
that you're resembling that. What is gluten? It's what keeps it together. It's what
Right.
keeps
It's
it.
not binding.
Yeah, yeah. So without that, you have to add in guar gum or xanthan gum. And I tell people, don't go the xanthan gum way. Xanthan gum was killing me when I first went gluten free. So that
Okay.
was another added on top of this. And it was like, okay, what's going on? I'm gluten free and I feel horrible, right? And it was the xanthan gum. And then I found out doctors used to prescribe xanthan gum as a diuretic. And
Oh,
I'm
geez.
like, why is this in every gluten-free product out there?
Oh my gosh.
We're getting away from that.
Yeah, no, well, that's part of the problem, right? Because you have to put something in to replace it, and it's easy to say gluten free.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so you're finding ways to kind of replace that. And like with pizza, like I just did a recipe with a zucchini crust.
Yes.
Which is
Cauliflower
great.
crust, zucchini,
Cauliflower.
sweet
Yeah.
potato. I mean, you just start getting creative and
Yeah.
finding different ways to make things, just like the pasta. You don't want just, the rice pasta. There's so many vegetable pastas.
Yeah.
Take a fresh zucchini from your garden and spiralize it. And we
Yep.
use that as our noodles, I mean,
Yeah,
there's
so I
so
actually
many
just
ways
the
to
other
do.
night did a chimichurri recipe that's going to come out I think in April. But I did zucchini noodles and mixed them with some brown rice noodles because you can't have a lot because it's very, very carby. But when you mix it in together, it feels like a ton. You don't feel deprived at all.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like the big thing that you really do teach and you really help me understand is why we shouldn't just go to the bread aisle when we are integrating food back in or when we're living our lifestyle that we talk about. There's so many other options. And when we get our why really strong,
Mm-hmm.
we can keep pushing and exercise and eating healthy. But when we understand the why scientifically about
Yeah.
something,
Oh, yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you and I talk about clean
Yeah.
crafted wine. I'm like, I can never drink anything else because I know scientifically why it's so bad for me. It feels
Yeah.
that way with gluten. Once I really understand why it's so bad for me, I will put in the
Mm-hmm.
effort to figure out the alternatives. That's what you did. And
Yeah.
what I really want people to hear from you is that they can do it too. It
Yeah.
matters enough to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have a ton of resources too. And this is
Yeah.
why I love Jennifer and our partnership because I give you guys this holistic concept. And then if you need to zoom in on the gluten,
Mhm.
you know that this is an area that like you need to focus on. Gut health, everything starts from our gut.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Jennifer also recognizes the importance of not having dairy and sugar and those kinds of pieces. But because she's such an expert in gluten, you got to follow her. So you have your own Facebook group and you also offer a variety of like programs and options for people too that really want to dig into it that will complement what you have learned with us, what you're
Yeah.
learning with us.
Yeah.
So you have a free Facebook group so people can join that. Is that right?
Yes, I have Gluten-Free Moms Building a Healthy Lifestyle
Love it.
Facebook group. So ties right in with what you're doing. We do recipes. I do trainings in there. There's a bunch of gluten-free moms in there, all on the same path, looking
Awesome.
for help and support. So yeah, that's a great group. And
Yeah.
I also have a gluten-free mom starter guide where I outline like the 5 top ways to start your gluten-free life and things to implement to get you on the right path. So
And I
that's
think
a free guide.
you're gonna give that to my people, right?
I will give that to your people.
Yeah, we're super
Absolutely. I'll
excited.
give you that
Great.
link so they can grab that. But
Okay.
that's going to just help you like incorporate it kind of into your lifestyle a little bit and understand what you start with. Now, I know, Carrie, you already do a lot of the great recipes and all of the fun stuff of getting gluten out of their diet for what you're doing. But I do have a gluten-free formula 30-day program, and that is like my starter. It's my Marks method, which is my last name, Marks. So
I
it's
love this.
Marcks. So it's like M is for menus and meals, which you cover all of that. But I
You
go
can't have
deeper
enough
into
options.
yes, yeah. Well, that's what I find too. That's a big thing is that they think gluten-free is awful because they go online, they find a gluten-free
Yeah,
recipe, they make it, and it's awful.
right.
you know,
Exactly.
and unfortunately that happens, but
Yep.
my recipes are tried and true.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the kids that say thanks mom. A is attitude and mindset, which is where that deprivation comes in, and you have to turn it around and learn how to accept that life and empower. I talk a lot about empowering your kids who are gluten-free and empowering yourself as the mom, because if you're going to eat gluten and feel like crap all the time, that's not serving you. And when you've realized how great you can feel, I'll never forget the day I woke up and I was like, wow, my belly's flat. It's not bloated. I don't feel crappy today. I have
Yeah.
energy today.
Yeah.
Wow. It was like
And
a
I love that
huge,
you're really helping people to focus on that gluten free around mindsets because we talk so much about mindsets, but you guys, there's a lot of you out there that are just like, I have to have my bread. I have to have my pasta. I have to have my pizza.
There's
I have to
other
have pizza night
ways.
and Friday nights. And she
Yeah.
really does hone in on your mindset specifically around that. And I think that's super important.
Yeah.
And then
And
you
if you
have,
have to have that, if you have to have that bread, we just learned through this whole pandemic and all how to make sourdough gluten-free bread.
nice.
And it's so good and it's so much easier than you ever would have thought.
Awesome.
But the beginning goes into reading labels, like we talked about,
Yeah.
finding the right substitutions, cross contamination, which is huge in gluten free. So if you really have to be, you know that it gets to you. It's not just taking it out of your food. You have to kind of know how you're preparing your food, where you're preparing your food, that hidden gluten, where it's,
Yeah.
hiding out in soy sauce or, spices, licorice, your communion wafer at church, I mean, you have to think of all that. And then
Okay, great.
kitchen, setting up your kitchen, and then shopping and saving. And then I do have a
So
second
that's your
part.
30 day. That's your
That's
30
that's a
day
lot in
beginning.
30 days, but
That's
it
awesome.
really gets you set, get you the foundation. And then the second part to that is kind of weaving it into your lifestyle. Like the birthday party, like how do you send your child to a birthday party? Or how do you have a birthday party when your kid's gluten-free and all their friends come? Well, you serve gluten-free cupcakes, my friend, and they all say, "Oh, this is good." It's like,
Yes,
check,
yes, yes. I love that. I'm
so
all about no
you
brainer
can
swaps,
do, you
right?
can, yes, you
Yeah.
can. And you can, I've had my entire family here for Christmas and for Thanksgiving, and I serve gluten-free, dairy-free, corn-free, everything. No one complains. Everyone sits down and says, "This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is incredible." It can be done and you can do it. Again, it does. It goes to your mindset. But
Yeah.
once you grab onto that, once you realize that I'm eating this, I feel so much better, you realize you're going to do it. And
I
if
love
you
it.
really, really are missing something, as much as we want to be healthy, yeah, we're going to have chocolate cake sometimes, right? And it's going to be okay. It's not we're eating that every day. We're eating that, so I mean, and to me and my kids, for my children, I'm like, it's okay for us to have chocolate cake today because we don't eat this every day.
Yeah.
And otherwise they do fall into that, well, we never get this and our friends have this all the time.
Right.
So, you find a way. So if you have your
So,
kids that are doing this, they come home and say, "Oh, they had this at lunch today. What is that? I want that." Then we make it,
yeah. And so
So
that's your 30 days is kind of around that starter part. And then you're talking about lifestyle as like a second option or second, like the next step beyond that, which some of my people might very well be ready for
yeah.
because of
Oh,
what
okay.
we do.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So
everybody
how
will
do
have
you
their
weave it
steps.
in?
Yeah.
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 Weaving it in, like making it something that you don't wake up and worry what you're going to eat. You don't wake up and worry how you're going to get through your day, or I have to go shopping. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
It just becomes routine. So
I love that.
that's the end result, is you want this to become routine.
Yeah.
That you
Yeah.
just wake up and live. You're not thinking every minute, "Oh my God, I'm gluten free. Oh, I'm gluten free."
Yeah.
That's not even a thought in our heads anymore. We just
Right.
wake up
Because
and
you
live.
made the decision.
Yeah.
You've made the decision to be gluten free, and now you are going to figure out the solutions to live that life without deprivation. I always talk about Marie Forleo's book, Everything is Figure Outable.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
just that you have to know your why. You have to know your personal why, and truly, for something like this, a
Yeah.
scientific why,
Scientific.
and
Yeah.
then figure it out. And I
Yeah.
think that's what you've done, and that's what you can offer to people. You figured it out. And so now,
Yeah.
for people
We
that really
did.
want to hone in on gluten free living,
Hmm.
Jennifer is your girl, and she's such a part of our community that it makes such sense that if you need to dig in more, she's the person for you to do that with. This is a journey, everybody. We talk
Oh,
about this
yeah.
all the time.
Oh,
Our
yeah.
4 weeks to wellness is a lifestyle launch. It's a launch towards a new lifestyle. And wherever it is that you need to plug into to continue to build
Yeah. Yeah.
success mountain, you've got to do. And if gluten is the
Absolutely.
thing, like my goal is to find experts for you to be able to continue to work towards that goal of optimal health.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
and I also think that even people that go through our 4 weeks to wellness and then want to integrate food back in, and they're integrating gluten and then they plateau in their weight loss, I think
Oh, yeah.
so many people do not realize the impact that gluten is having on you
Yeah.
when you are integrating foods. And you think, well, I have the right number of carbs, so
Hmm.
it should be fine.
Hmm.
Not
Hmm.
true. That's why healthy and correct is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's your girl.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally
Fabulous.
agree.
Fabulous. Okay, so we are going to share all of the information about how to connect with you,
Oh, thank you.
so that people have another resource. That is so, so, so important. And also how to get your free guide. And you guys, her cooking, like her little baking cooking shows kind of on her Facebook group are great. But then I know that you offer some cooking classes sometimes too. So I think people need
Yeah.
to look out for that, because
Yeah.
being able to be in the kitchen with Jennifer is pretty awesome. So
Yeah, I'm doing cooking classes once a month now, virtual cooking classes, and that's
awesome.
all on my website at which
Awesome.
we'll put with all the information
Yeah,
about
we
you.
definitely will. Well, Jen, thank you so much. This is so exciting and I think
Thank
so
you.
valuable for so many people. So, guys, I want to hear your responses, comment, and obviously, Jen will get all of that. If you have questions or anything like that, we'll make sure she
Absolutely.
stays connected. Thank you so, so, so much. And
Thanks for having me. It's great talking with your group. Bye, everybody. Thank you.